from the North Main store. We got Mo, the store manager over here. She's been running this place. 24/7 operation here on North Main. Never stops. Never. So the learning never stops either. That's why we're here right now. Also in the corner, we have Feliciana and Sandra, our twoest new hirees, celebrating the commencement of our grand opening this weekend over in Hobbs, New Mexico. So some lifelong Hobbs residents down here. Sandra and Feliciana, thanks guys for coming on today. As part of their orientation, they have now been, voluntold to come onto this at the end of it all. Basically, they've been 2 days with me and Bennett running through the gauntlet of, everything that we do at High Horse, all the laws, medical cannabis, so on and so forth. So, coming from scratch, trying to get that in 2 days is a lot. They've come a long way, definitely, and we want to be able to talk about that with them. We're very interactive, and we want to make sure that we do keep this thing, interactive. We're doing this every single week, trying to give that value and that content for you guys, making sure everybody's beating the same drum and talking about cannabis in more elevated, enlightened ways. So again, guys, thank you for coming on. Got Bennett, Assistant Director of Training over here at High Horse Cannabis Company. And so let's have Mo talk first. We've got Sandra and Feliciana. Guys, we're going to get the whole scoop from you guys, but I'm going to let Mo give you guys a little shout out on what's up here first.
So we're definitely excited to have you guys on board. I'm really excited to go and see that location for myself. How do you guys feel, being a part of the cannabis industry? What are you most excited for?
I'm just excited to help the patients. That's my number one thing. It's always been very important to me. Make sure they have what they need, regardless if it's medical or,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, me too. It's nice to be able to connect with the patients and, connect with them on a deeper level and really help them, benefit their everyday life and make them more comfortable. It helps so many people in so many different ways. So it's amazing to be a part of this movement that we have going on.
Yep, it's pretty awesome. I'm excited.
Yes, you guys will have to come visit us here at Maine too.
Definitely.
All the cool stuff we got.
Yeah.
Sitting here in the stock room and everything, you guys, how many people would you say have worked for you in the cannabis industry now, Mo? I know you're not just from here. So how many people do you think you've helped kind of get up to speed and work for you?
I would maybe say upwards of like 15, 20.
Nice.
I would say, yeah. A lot of different people, a lot of moving parts. So it's really cool to see
different positions.
Yeah, everyone's positions and the roles that they play and how they contribute to the team. So it's really cool. But yeah.
So you guys are starting from scratch. You got a very seasoned manager here. Do you have any specific questions for Monique?
How do you deal with the first day of opening?
You know what? It actually wasn't too bad. We luckily had, a lot of people who were willing to learn and put in the effort that it took to keep the store running that day. It was a little bit overwhelming, trying to learn all of the new products that we got, but it was cool. It was exciting. And like I said, it's nice to connect with people and talk about cannabis with people who also love it. So it's really cool. It was cool. It was fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Feliciana, what do you got for Mo?
I really don't have any questions right now.
Nice. All right, that's okay. First time ever on a podcast.
Yes, no, you guys are going to do great. Yeah, you guys are going to do great. BioTrack's pretty, it's good. You guys are going to do awesome.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. I believe you.
Okay.
Excellent. So, before we move on, let's get a little bit of intros from both of you guys, Sandra and Feliciana. Feliciana, let's start with you. Tell us where you're from, what you've collected so far about working here at High Horse in 2 days of virtual orientation, and let's hear some of your thoughts.
Okay, well, I'm Feliciana. I'm from Hobbs. I've lived here my whole life, and I'm just ready to start a new adventure, and to have it start with y'all is a good thing. And then I've learned a lot. Like, I didn't know the CB1, CB2 thing, and now I know that. Well, I know the difference, and I know what counteracts and what activates them.
Excellent. That's music to my ears, Feliciana. So where do you come from in terms of industry? Like, what did you do before working in the cannabis field?
I've done fast food. I've done housekeeping. I've just bounced around a lot.
Excellent. So look at that.
Jack of
I
all
mean,
trades.
you've taken it and applied it in a good 2 day session. And I mean, you're already primed and ready to get out there and start having some conversations. So that's pretty cool to see, you already opening up, hey, I learned CB1 and CB2 and this, that, and the other, right? Like, that's a lot of good stuff that helps people, get a long way. So that's great to hear. Sandra, let's hear from you.
My name's Sandra. I'm from Hobbs. I've lived here my entire life. I've worked in the medical field for about 23 years. I've learned a lot, honestly. It's something that's, it's opened my mind more coming from an old-fashioned family. What are the properties? What actually, CBD, cannabis, THC, all that stuff does for you. The difference between the distillate and, it's mind-opening. And I'm really going to enjoy this experience. And I hope I'm with y'all for a very long time.
I got chills. I'm excited that you guys really picked up on everything that you guys have picked up on the past 2 days. You guys have picked up really, really quickly, and it just shows the passion. So I'm excited to see once you guys are able to actually put it into practice, because it just sticks so much faster too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely cool to see, really see that. And, from you guys being so far, and we haven't even physically gotten to shake your hand or like look you in the eyes yet. You know what I mean? You guys have really come a long way and aligned with us. And so I can't wait to, fully get out there myself over to Hobbs, meet you guys and, everything like that. But it's exciting. So we'll have you guys along for the show today, so you can really get a good idea of what we do. Mo, I think if you have any final words for these ladies, then it's on, and then we'll swap you out. We're doing tag teams.
Okay. No, it was lovely meeting you guys. Good luck opening up. I'm sure you guys are going to do great. But yes, welcome to the team. Happy to have you guys.
Thank you.
And for anybody else, all you Karens out there asking for the manager over here at North Main, that's her. I'm just kidding. All right.
And you guys know this main location here in Las Cruces does provide delivery 24/7. So if you'd like to put in an online order, there is the option for delivery, and that's only from Maine.
Okay.
Good to know. So, okay, guys, we've got the next High Horse Cannabis team member up here, Miss Elsie. I'm going to give her the mic and let her kind of tell us about yourself. I don't know if I've really ever chatted with you.
So my name is Elsie. I'm a bud tender. I'm also a bikini bud tender here on the weekends. That's how I started off here, as a bikini bud tender, and then I ended up becoming full-time. I really love working here. It's really fun working in this industry, especially when you're into cannabis,
Absolutely. And so, Elsie, you started as a bikini bud tender. I don't know if we talked about that so much that we do have different parts of our company, different sides of our marketing and everything like that. The bikini bud tenders are absolute leaders, in truly rallying our community for bringing people together. They really, really do a great job at that. Everybody comes to see them and interact with them, whether they're here at our stores or out in community events. And, she's represented us in a bunch of different places. To name a few, what is some of the favorite things you've done as a bikini bud tender?
Definitely the events. It's really fun going out to events, and we're the first people here to do the bikini bud tenders. So people are like, oh my gosh, that's so different, so cool. We've done like a foam party for college the first Thursday. We've done like flea markets on the night markets. Is that what they're
I
called?
think that's on Saturdays.
On Saturdays, yeah.
First Saturday of the month.
Mimosa markets. We go to the tailgates too, the NMSU tailgates, hand out flyers, talk to people, give them information. And a lot of people don't know about our location, so it's cool whenever you meet someone and they're information to them.
Out there spreading the word.
Yes. I mean, you've learned a lot, Elsie. Talk to us about your relationship with cannabis, where you come from with it, and kind of what you've learned since working at High Horse, as well as give a little story.
Well, I've been into cannabis pretty much for as long as I can remember. A lot of things I've learned is just difference in strains, terpenes as well. It's what I was figuring coming into this industry. I wanted to, obviously I knew the basics that comes with cannabis, but when you work in this industry, you learned like the deeper, the science, the everything to it. And I think it's really cool. You get to meet different customers too. So you learn that different strains, different things just it's just very different. Personal experience too. I don't know. It's very cool being able to learn what different things will do to you, and then being able to share it with everyone else. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's the perfect way to put it, because as we were trying to frame it out, is like every single customer and patient interaction is so specific to that person. Like it's really hard to, apply generally maybe what she might be having a conversation with somebody at any given time, because you got to be very prepared to, navigate a lot of that tools in your toolkit there. And, very, very nice. And so Elsie on the weekends over here is, she is in a different uniform, and she is a very big attraction to the location for sure. So right now, even kicking butt with whatever uniform in the High Horse company she's got on, it doesn't matter. She's ready to execute. So
we got jack of all trades all over the place.
People can do a lot of things, and we find different ways to just keep diving in. So thank you, LC. I don't know if you have anything else to share with these ladies. Any tips of advice for the Hobbs girls?
Just have fun. Very excited for your guys' new location. I can't wait to go out there and see it myself. And good luck with everything.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Game time.
Yes. You're okay.
And we got one more employee. She's managing some stage fright in the back.
A little shy. You're okay. You're just saying hi to the girls. It's okay. Okay.
Perfect.
There's nobody else here.
So good morning.
Good morning.
Good 12:30, but yeah, whatever. It's noon.
Good noon.
Afternoon. It's 4:30, I guess. Anyways, so okay, give me your name one more time. We just met like 5 minutes ago.
Amber.
Amber, thank you, Amber, for coming on today. I appreciate you, working through the anxiety to get here in front of the camera on our live High Horse Cannabis Company. Out here in front of our patients every single day. And now, you get to talk to our newest, latest and greatest Hobbs staff and our crew out there right now. You're looking at them, Sandra and Feliciana out there. They're going to open up this store, be our newest crew member. Obviously, Bennett, Colt, Ruben, a lot of these guys, Dominique, are going to be out there for, the grand opening this weekend as well. But, there's so much to bring, so much fun stuff. Opening up a new store, our fourth one, Amber. I mean, talk to us about you jumping in over here at High Horse Cannabis Company, what it's been like for you, how long you've been in the cannabis industry. Just give me a little rundown.
So I've been in the industry for about 2 years now. I've worked for High Horse for 2 months. It's been a real fun experience learning about everything like that cannabis has to offer.
So where did you work for before?
For PVP.
Very cool. So now that you moved over here and everything like that, have you seen any sort of difference in your approach and education or anything being with High Horse Cannabis Company?
I don't know.
What have you learned? Okay, no, it's okay.
I'm like,
that's okay. It's
I'm nervous.
Yes, I'm over. My words are not, maybe not.
I can say
very
that
well,
Miss Amber is one of the very well-rounded individuals who can provide further knowledge to her other bud tenders. I can say that when I visited the shop as a trainer, she was one that had a bit of a higher experience. So even though she's shy on the camera, she is not shy with her clients. She is not shy with her bud tenders, her coworkers, her bud tenders. So I mean, you do a really good job. You have a lot of good knowledge, and she's very friendly. So she's just shy.
Yes.
I am.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, let's dial this one back. Question for the Hobbs girls, or advice.
Yeah, give them advice or questions.
Just get very familiar with the terps and the I forgot what it's called. Not the fillings, but like the effects that come along with the terps. A lot of patients will come in asking for a specific filling, thinking that they're leaning towards more like a sativa, but then you find out that their anxiety heightens a lot with it as well. So it's nicer to kind of recommend a hybrid, maybe sativa leaning, or just like an even balanced hybrid. But
Look at that. This woman is an encyclopedia. You just had to kind of pull the skin back a little bit there. So that's awesome. Great job. Obviously your stuff, and you just got to be prepared for whatever that may be. And it's so random. Whatever you may be questions you have to ask. It's like when you give someone a blank slate, and you're like, all right, talk about cannabis. You're like, oh, what? Like all of a sudden it's my choice. I get to tell you what I'm going to talk about. I'm not
Yeah.
answering and rebuttaling here because people will just come in with all kinds of, premonitions or, preconceptions or whatever it might be. And sometimes you're helping them to guide it, or sometimes you have to debunk a myth or whatever, those could be. But obviously you got to listen to your patients when they come in ultimately and try to really work that situation in those times. Sandra and Feliciana, I want each of you guys to ask Miss Amber a question.
Let me see.
It could be a fun question. You guys don't have to go straight into the education, or even a question about being a bud tender.
What do you like best about being a bud tender?
Being able to help the patients, especially the ones that come in with like a lot of pain or a lot of anxiety. I really like helping them because, as you can see, I have a lot of anxiety too, so I can kind of relate.
Cool. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Feliciana.
Sorry, I couldn't get the mute off. I don't know how long. Oh, we already answered that. Never mind. I don't know. I mean, what do you dislike? What's one of your dislikes of being a bud tender?
So far, I haven't really found much that I dislike about it. It's always a learning experience, so I'm always learning new things, and so it's like a benefit more than it is like anything.
Okay.
That was perfect. I love the questions and I love the answers.
Thank you, Amber. We will.
Thank you.
We will relieve you. You've done well. You've done
Thank you.
extraordinary.
Bye.
Movie star in the making. Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, so we're going to readjust.
Just real quick. I got you. There we go.
And so we'll dive a little deeper into the clinical part of this podcast, guys, today. We're going to get into extraction methods and answer a couple more questions that were related to that from our crew and our stores here. So, again, following up on some things that we had addressed here, even in our orientation, it's good to reinforce some things that come up, and you never know how it's going to come up, and we just got to be acknowledging of it. So either way, the things here about our finished products and our concentrates, always reinforcing, what type of concentrate are you getting, right? And what we're talking about is extraction method, and extraction method is really the way to differentiate between the different kinds of concentrates, right, guys? So when we do look at the different kinds of concentrates here, we're going to talk about live resin, right? Hash rosin, cured resin. So the whole thing is going to be, I love this graph. I just wanted to share this graph with everybody so that we can get a good look on, this right here. So give me just a second to get it in better frame. Sorry, guys. Try it like that. Oh, man. Maybe like this. Better. So I'll zoom in just a... All right, guys. So as we can see on the screen here, looking over the extraction process, this is just a great little picture here talking about the two different types of extracts that you can get between fresh frozen and the finished products, and the cured finished products. So different types of finished products for both of those. Going over who's doing what and what we have in our stores, guys. Like, a great example of the cured resin, Botanics extracts. They're cured resin pens. They're absolutely fine tasting. We've actually reviewed them on an earlier podcast here, and the whole basis behind that, getting to your basically resin points here, you're going to have to do distillation methods, right? So if you're going to have actually a live resin, then you're going to be using fresh frozen to get to the live. If you're using cured, you're going to be getting cured resin, and oftentimes, guys, cured is going to be a lot better of a flavor profile for smoking, just because when you actually take that time to cure it, you can really bring out those flavors, those terpenes, and so on and so forth. When it's fresh frozen, granted, you get all that, you get it as raw as it'll ever be, but again, you're not going to have that cured point of the terps, and terpene profiles will change in your curing process as well. So again, it's going to actually be different. Fresh frozen will give you more of a natural taste. Cured is going to give you more of probably your refined taste, as you already look at that right there. I mean, ways to get to those between live resin and cured resin, distillation still gets you there, right? Whether you're what solvent you're using is going to basically change. So either you're using hydrocarbon extraction, which is going to be butane or propane, or you're going to be using ethanol extraction, which is alcohol, or you would use CO2, which CO2 doesn't use distillation, right? CO2 is going to use a different method, which is down here. But knowing that hydrocarbon extraction and ethanol extraction are going to get you to the distillation point, where you can thus either get your live resin or your cured resin products. I think seeing that visual chart is just, I think it's very helpful to make some connections, because we're so used to seeing those products all the time. And you're like, why do I want to get a live product? Why do I want to get this, that, or the other?
And you'll get that question from clients. What's the difference between a live, or what's the difference between, and you should be able to differentiate that. And here, really quick, just in case we have anyone that doesn't understand what flash frozen or cured material is. Cured material is like your flour that you can already find in a dispensary. It is ready to be smoked, inhaled, infused. So it's already cured. That means its terpenes have reached peak time frame. So a lot of times when growers are looking at their trichomes, they look for amber trichomes to ensure that their material is cured. Fresh frozen, like Joaquin was explaining, it's going to consist of a product that is cut as soon as it's cut down. It is going to be frozen to maintain the live properties of that plant. So it's going to have a much earthier taste rather than the cured taste. So if you get gassier notes or sweeter notes in the cured taste, in your fresh frozen, you're going to have more of a live herb
earthy,
taste.
piney aromas.
And that's because the terpenes are a lot more live at that point. But aged terpenes have a benefit as well. So that's just a little bit deep dive into the difference in the materials that could be used. But the chart definitely breaks it all down so we can understand. Because as you can see, we have bubble hash, we have cured resin, we have distillate, we have full spectrum, what is that? FSC? I've never seen that. Full spectrum extract. That's what it is. And so there's just a whole world to it. We explained a little bit to the girls yesterday while we were in orientation how the world of concentrates, it's a whole world in itself in the cannabis community because of how deep it can get. There's people who prefer cured resins, and there's people who prefer those that are live. It all just comes down to preference, budget, and taste,
Yes. And basically, guys, where you think about that, again, think about the basis of what people are buying. They're either really probably buying THC concentrate with what's out on the market right now. So when you're really looking at that, it's THC concentrate. Which type of THC concentrate does this person want best, right? And you're looking at the differences here between, is it going to be a live resin? Is it a cured resin? Is this person here for taste and flavor? Is this person here for effect? Is this person here for price? Is this person here because they want something all natural, right? If you want all natural, you want quote unquote solventless, which water is a solvent, but water is like the solventless solvent. So water, using that to just press out and get you rosin is going to be like your most natural form. Some people don't want any sort of resin because resin means it's been put through some sort of extraction method, which means some people don't want to smoke propane or butane at all ever touching their product, right? Some people don't ever want ethanol ever touching their product. So it's a big, deal for those people, right? But, honestly, hydrocarbon extraction, propane, butane is truly going to be your best way at grabbing out all those terpenes, right? It actually does the best job at preserving as much of that plant material as possible, and then thus distilling out the rest.
And isolating, the things that you want, which would be like your terpenes, your THC, your cannabinoids, any other phytocannabinoids that are present. So yeah, the processes are very different, and like Joaquin explained, it protects terpenes. And I think when we look at cured material versus fresh, the cured material, a lot of people focus on for the THC and THC only. That's when they're purchasing. A lot of times that's what they're looking for, is the euphoria, not much of the taste. Once we get into the fresh frozen, people are looking either for effect, a specific effect, because that's what the plant is presenting, that's what the plant had provided first thing. So like we mentioned, it, once it's cut down, it preserves everything that plant had at that moment. So everything has its reference, its place, and each person has a little place in each one. So it's just about finding that for each client that you get to come across.
Yes, exactly. I think when you really boil it down right now, it's really down to preference when it comes to concentrates. I mean, you're looking at THC percent in a concentrate is really going to be the dose, right? So you're doing dose and effect really is going to be the most that you get out of that. It's going to be THC percent. Other than that, you're going to get terpenes, which terpenes you're going to get different amounts of terpenes and everything based on the distillation method. And again, it may not always be consistent. It may not always be the same batch of flower that created that same batch of extract. And another reason why you're not going to see a lot of cured resin material out there is because, a lot of the best cured flower is going into the shops in flower, as flower, right? People want to sell that flower as flower because once you take all that time to cure it, your bottom dollar is probably going to be a lot better just to sell it straight as flour than to, put it through an extraction process, degrade and waste some of it, maybe pay somebody to do that extraction for you if you can't do it yourself. So all of a sudden you really, lost a lot. So where really that cured product is probably going to be more of your rarity versus the live product, because fresh frozen people can just harvest, you're getting in and out fast as possible, in and out and into the products. And it does a good job at preserving and getting it to that point. But again, with speed, you may lose a little bit of other things. And where some things are lost, maybe some things are gained. And there's not enough data to probably say one way is better than the other right now, unless you specifically could prime it for, you needed 1 or 2 terpenes, and you can prime it by, knowing you hit it with the live fresh frozen extraction, and to get to this terpene, that's going to get you to that output. Or if you cure it to get to that terpene and then get it to that output, those would probably be the only reasons you would ever do it. So, I mean, just making sure everybody has a good understanding of this. This is for sure, an important thing to cover. Lastly, as we do touch on that, going to reinforce about just the different types of extracts, and seeing these guys, like when you're looking at things like butter or shatter, very important to compare and contrast, why something might be butter or why something might be shatter. So I think that's something we want to make sure we reinforce with everybody here again today. So looking down at like the Farmers Quality Concentrates website, looking on their hydrocarbon page, we'll kind of go down there. Bennett, you want to walk us through some of this?
Yeah, so we currently have a few of these in stock at High Horse. We have Terps on the Rocks, we have batter, we have sugar, and they call them terp sugar. We also have shatter. I believe we may be all out of our crumble and maybe all out of our slush. But Farmers Quality also provides sap, and all of these are different consistencies. This may be how they label them, but typically you will find batters, sugars, shatters, and crumbles out on the market. They have also gone a little deeper into their labeling. So Terps on the Rocks, I guess. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Okay.
Basically, I just wanted to remind everybody, this is hydrocarbon extraction. So where you're looking at, more than likely, it's probably going to be some fresh frozen going into that distillation process after the hydrocarbon extraction. So that would be those like middle lines, right? So getting you to that live point. All right, go ahead, Terps on the Rocks.
So Terps on the Rocks, these are going to be THC-8 crystals. They are formed in super saturation of oil over time. So it's literally kind of like building crystals in a cave. It's over time, oversaturated, and that THC just or like making crystal candy, that science experiment a lot of kids have done. It'll the THCA will crystallize, and from there they add a terpene sauce on top of it, and that's where they call it terps on the rocks. And then it's usually extracted as a live diamond. So the way Joaquin explained, it is going to be fresh frozen product, and that's what keeps it staying a live diamond. From there, we have the batter consistency. That is going to be, when you look at this, it's going to be a little bit more wet and dough, kind of looks like cake batter. The wetness and the look to that is responsible for terpenes. Any concentrate that you ever have and it looks like it's wet or sweaty, that is your terpene content. Basically, you can tell a terpene content based off how wet or sweaty, people like to call concentrate sweaty, but how wet it may look. So it is responsible typically for how high the terpene content is. And a lot of time your batters are going to have a lot of full flavor because of that wetness to it. Sugars are combined with a little bit of micro THCA crystals. That's why it kind of looks like it's honey mixed with sugar. That's what I like to explain it, how I like to explain it to people. So it's sticky, but it also has little tiny crystals in it. The little crystals are THCA. In case you don't know, THCA is the non-activated form of THC. Once heat touches it, it's activated and it turns into THC. Thus, we inhale it, and then we get our lovely euphoria effect. Moving on, there is shatter. Shatter is probably one of the most well-known concentrate types. I know a lot of old heads that when they come in, that's the first thing they ask for. If they're looking for some concentrate, they will ask for wax or for shatter. So the shatter is most commonly going to come from a hydrocarbon or BHO.
Yes, and then to show you guys a little bit more insight on that as well in terms of like shatter and the characteristics there. Yes, made using, again, BHO and the low boiling points of hydrocarbons, but unlike butter wax, so this is where the differences really come in, is like some of that post-processing. So shatter is not agitated after the primary extraction process like other cannabis extracts. Instead, shatter is purged in a vacuum for 48 hours to remove the residual butane in the product. So again, that agitation there, you don't do it after that extraction process, which is not going to create that fluff, right? So as you see the butter, like almost like milk, yes. Right? So,
and that's probably why it looks very clear. A lot of times you can even stretch your shatter. The name shatter comes from it being able to break down kind of like a brittle, but sometimes you can also find your shatter where it has a nice stretchy taffy effect. So it's depending on storage, to be honest, when it comes to your shatter. Shatter can be a little bit on the harder side to use, especially if you are a new user of concentrates. I can't tell you how many clients I've had express that when they're using their shatter, pieces will go flying places. So I will say it's not the most user friendly for a lot of people. It depends on the person. It's got to be something they're looking for, something they're used to utilizing. So from there we can move on to crumble. The crumble is going to be very lightweight. This has also a look of a holy look, and if you notice, if you ever buy some crumble, it's not very wet looking. So this is going to be more for your easy use, or even your just looking for euphoria, if you're wanting to just get the effects of it. There's not much terpene profile present, so the flavors won't be as present or as significant compared to any of the other extraction methods. But I think it's one of the most sought after currently. All of our crumble got sold out, I think. So the crumble is all gone. Sap, we haven't had any sap from Farmer's Quality in High Horse, but this one is as simple as it sounds. It's a very sappy texture, minor cannabinoids, and it has a sticky consistency. A little bit more on the harder to use, just depends on the person or what they're using it for. So I would say if you're going to use a sap, this is going to be for someone who is smoking out of a vaporizing tool or, a rig per se. Slush is similar to the terp sugar, but it's a little bit more on the wet side. So it has more terpenes present and less of the crystals present. So the terp slush and the terp sugar are kind of cousins, I guess you could say. But all of this, in a sense, they all have a different curing process or purging process.
Thank you. And exactly, perfect segue into that, guys, as we revisit kind of the different preferences there. Again, it comes down to, was it whipped? Was it purged? How was it post-produced? But again, you're really most of all in the same. However, granted, right, some differences for people that are going to be, looking for that, guys. Let's look at the Black Friday sales. Black Friday sales.
That starts next week. I believe starting Monday.
$15 eighths, $70 ounces.
And just to recall, this is all before tax, but that's still great deals.
Wow.
If you don't have a medical card, it's definitely highly recommended for you to get a medical card so you can save money and get these exact prices shown.
$20 farmers from the 25. That's even better.
Yeah, $20 farmers quality concentrates. Right now they're currently sitting at $25 per the gram, but during Black Friday we'll be having them for $20. So that's a steal. Half off all the farmers chocolates and 2 for $15 on the gummies, 505 and functional, anything Gonzo. And then if you buy,
so this Enchanted Botanicals, an eighth of that, you get one of these flies.
I see. Okay, so those eighths are actually flying off the shelf. So you can get a fly with that. $10 off the Farmer's Specialty pre-rolls. So we have the Fuse Woods and the Honey Holes. Yeah, so these are good deals for sure.
Going to be good deals. Make sure to do that shopping and save that money next week. I know there's going to be so many places to spend your money next week, but again, for those of you who need your medicine every single week, this is definitely a great deal to capitalize on for sure. Benny, I think we have a question from the store to wrap up with. And then...
Yeah, for sure. So we have a few questions. Valley, well, let's see. Chaps, we kind of hit Chaparral's question with today's podcast. They had asked, why is there so many concentrate consistencies? So that kind of helped us gear the topic of today's podcast. So hopefully, Chaparral, we answered your guys' question. At Maine, Maine had also asked for information on the extract process. So hopefully we also got to answering your guys' question. We have been saving this concentrate podcast for a while, just because, like we mentioned, the world of concentrates is very in-depth and it's its own little world. Hard to explain, and everybody has their own preferences, so you might have heard different opinions. Other question that we have from Maine, though, does terpene amount increase flavor in the flower? I would say yes. Your terpene amount increases your flavor in your flower. So if the terpene percentages are higher than your THC percentage, you're gonna have a really high, highly effective. So whatever terpenes you have present, those effects are gonna be very effective, and your taste is going to be very, very pleasant. So especially if you have anything that has like myrcene, pinene, limonene, linalool, all of these terpenes are very much favored, and they're more on the tasty side. I know a lot of people can deter a little bit from the beta caryophyllene just because it's a little more on the peppery side, spicier side, but the beta caryophyllene has good properties to it. So yes, your terpene flavor also has a lot to do with the storage and the age. So if your flower isn't really tasting that flavorful, let's just say you bought an ounce, and the first time you smoke that ounce, by the last time you're smoking it, it's not tasting that same. Your terpenes or your THC may have aged or may have degraded a little bit. So yes, the flavor of your flower has a lot to do with your terpenes and the age of them. So.
Very, very good question. And yeah, exactly. I think I hopefully feel like we dialed in on that a little bit on this podcast. And I know for the for our two newest employees. I hope you guys feel a little bit more comfortable with that as well.
Yeah, and to better store your flower, here's just a little recommendation. Never store your cannabis products in anything silicone or porous material. Silicone is a very porous material, so it does actually strip your terpenes. So for your concentrate or even your flower, or if you're wanting to, preserve a joint or a little pre-roll or something, never put it in anything silicone. It will preserve and strip the terpenes completely. You always want to store your stuff in either glass or dark, dim containers. And I've met a lot of older folk that like to store their cannabis in the fridge. So I don't think that does a lot too much to it, but it does keep a bit of a freshness, kind of like a fresh pack into your, and that's another recommendation I have. Always add a fresh pack to your flower.
Fresh packs aren't a bad idea.
Yeah, to always keep the moisture content present and to keep your terpenes as active as possible. And then last question that we have from Valley is, what temperature does THC vaporize?
So THC vaporizes at, let's find this out. So granted, it's going to vaporize above any given temperature, but what is the preferred temperature for vaporizing THC? I believe you're sitting in there between like 520 and 540-ish.
I believe.
And we're pulling this thing up right now.
Wow, 390 to 480 Fahrenheit.
So like I guess when I think of the Puffco, it's like 520 if you're going to do it like, if you're following the Puffco's directions.
I obviously
on preserving
don't.
Their terps.
520 can be a little bit too hot sometimes.
Those are what's recommended, I guess, per the product.
Yeah, so per the product, per Puffco, yeah, I like to be able to set the temperature personally, and I always go at under a 500, so maybe 490 or at 500 exactly. I also like to take dabs from a rig, and when I temp them with either a little temp gun or people that have a DabRite, everyone that I know always goes in around a 490 500 range, not much higher, because that preserves the terps, or it preserves your terpenes and it preserves your THC. So,
and this is breaking it down into literally like temperatures and stuff. So lightly toasted 325 to 350, half baked 350 to cool. 400, safe place to start, fully baked 400 to 430. So, I guess, cannabis boiling point is in that like 340 degree temperature. Anything above is really going to start burning those terpenes. And
degrading the THC to where I guess not that active.
The boiling points, it just kind of makes you wonder if, for whatever reason, maybe there's something off with the like Puffco. Maybe they account for a little bit there.
I think they have to account for time frame, and then it's a ceramic bowl, so and other people use glass, so like quartz, and quartz can cool down at a much faster rate. So it could be, to maintain the long-term effect. I don't know. I really don't know. Right. I know that I personally will go out and do my personal research on the terpenes that I'm currently dabbing on or smoking on, and from there I will kind of set my device up to that temperature more or less. But yeah,
good food for thought for sure. Mm-hmm. Overall. Is that the rest of our questions for today?
Yeah, those were our 3 questions.
Well, for those of you guys on the eastern side of the state, come see us for the grand opening. Come meet the latest and greatest Sandra and Feliciana.
And from here on out, we'll have 4 questions at the end of the day. We'll have Hobbs for the segment as well. So, ladies, make sure you guys have questions ready for us every week for the podcast. We'll try and get to them as soon as possible. It was good.
Okay.
It was fun.
Yes, ma'am.